Hello, sweethearts. This here sort of a video response thing, but a bit down the chain. The original video, per se, in retro gaming YouTube was made by a fellow called Megadan29. Now, I didn't watch their channel or their video or whatever. I became aware of it from a video response to this done by a channel I do follow called MrMatthews, which is a great channel. I'll talk more about that when we're done here, but what we're going to do is we're going to look at my childhood NES games. My collection, as it were. Not the full collection, just the ones I had during childhood. Now, how do we define childhood? Up to when you're 10, up to when you're 12. I chose to go up to when I graduated high school. So, it's a small collection, but an interesting one. You know, sort of hand-me-down stuff, things you get here and there. Not really with your own income. Oh, I bought like a $100 video game. So, we got to begin with the iconic Super Mario Bros. Duck Hunt. You know, classic, came with the system. Much time spent blasting ducks in Duck Hunt with the zapper gun. Bing-oo, bing-oo, bing-oo. That's the noise that the zapper gun makes when you pull the trigger. The springs in it is very nostalgic, and, you know, Super Mario Bros. Nostalgic as well. I remember making Mario dance atop a beanstalk, and my sister calling the fire flower flower power. Getting lost in the World 4 maze, stuff like that. You know, iconic classic game, so it's great. Now, I don't have Mario 2 and 3 here on NES, because when I was a kid, my parents worked, so after school, I'd go to a family friend's, and they had Mario 1, 2, 3, and Dr. Mario, so I did all my Mario 2 and 3 playing with them. And eventually I got Super Mario All-Stars, so I had those games in some form, and now, you know, you've got your Nintendo Switch Online, your Virtual Console, so I got them on lockdown. These next three games I got in the 90s, I believe 1995, I want to say, in Nova Scotia, on summer vacation. So, first off, we've got The Adventures of Bayou Billy. Now, a lot of people cite Battletoads as a difficult video game from their childhood that they couldn't get past the Turbo Tunnel. Now, I rented Battletoads, the SNES version, as a child, and couldn't get past the Turbo Tunnel, but for me, I think Adventures of Bayou Billy owning it. This was my Battletoads. It's a varied genre game with beat-em-up segments, zapper gun segments, yeah, I know, and driving segments. And the driving segments are what drove me up the fucking wall, pun unintended. It's a very difficult video game. I did beat it eventually, but not as a child, but, you know, fun times were had. As were with the next game. This is Gremlins 2. Now, my cousin in Nova Scotia, whom we were visiting at the time, had Gremlins 2 on Game Boy, and I remember playing that a lot and enjoying it. In hindsight, that game is actually kind of bad, but, you know, when you're a kid, game you don't own, ooh, mysterious. So when I see Gremlins 2 at the flea market for NES, I'm like, ooh, I know that game, I like it, let's get it. And this is a very good video game from Sunsoft. A la Batman, you know, well, it's a top-down sort of thing. I've played it on the channel, Ancient Let's Play, and a Fresmas highlight, so there is footage of me playing this game. The cover spooked me as a child, you know, because it's just a gremlin going, I'm gonna eat ya! But when you put it, it's like this, it's not so bad, but then you gotta take it out and go, so, yeah. And it's like, please work so I don't have to stare at again. And the last game, I saved the quote-unquote best for last, my favorite, the controversial Castlevania 2 Simon's Quest. Now, I like this game. I didn't know what Castlevania was in 1995, so we all just called it Simon's Quest. We didn't put no Castlevania 2 to it. This was just Simon's Quest to us. It was its own unique, strange thing. And, you know, the criticisms are out there these days. Oh, it's cryptic. Oh, the day-to-night thing. But here's the weird thing that I find about this game. I'm going to leave it at, I love it, but I'm a weirdo. The Angry Video Game Nerd, okay, he did his big video and he complained, you know, it's cryptic, oh, the day-to-night, oh, how the fuck are you supposed to know to kneel before this cliff with a goddamn crystal? Well, I had a hint book for the game in the first place because my sister got it for me one time. But also, here's the thing. 7 million people have watched that video. 7 million people have heard the Angry Video Game Nerd complain about this cryptic bullshit hint. When 7 million people know the answer to the cryptic hint, can you call it a cryptic hint anymore if you know the answer because a popular YouTuber bitched about it? That's a question you can keep for yourself. Oh, well, we saw the next game because I panned over a little bit. Here you go. It's Yoshi. This is one of the rare games my parents actually bought for me complete in box, like brand new. It's not like a hand-me-down or something I got at a flea market or whatever. But, you know, it's a falling block game. You match up Mario enemies, and there's bottom eggshells and top eggshells, and if you put a bottom eggshell and a bunch of enemies in the middle and then get the top eggshell, you get more points, so it's a stacking game kind of like that. It's an interesting puzzle game. It's nice. I didn't really like puzzle games when I was younger, but it's nice. Okay, so... okay, I got a bit of a mix-up there, but... These next two games... there's one, Double Dragon 2. These next two games I bought from a friend in school. He just sold me them for like $10, I don't know. So this is Double Dragon 2, The Revenge. Good game, good game. Best Double Dragon game on NES. Although all the NES Double Dragon games are kind of jank. Like, I really don't like Double Dragon 1, and Double Dragon 3 is tolerable, but definitely very difficult and jank. Double Dragon 2 is good, but you can definitely see the jank. Now, jank is not really a bad thing. We just praise Castlevania 2, but this is the most tolerable jank of the Double Dragon NES trilogy. IMO. Then we have Adventure Island. Now, Adventure Island is... it's hard. It's a sort of Super Mario Bros. Sort of... not rip-off, just homage in a way. 8 worlds, 4 levels, running and jumping, shooting, you know. But it's a very, very difficult game. I've never beaten it legitimately. One day I'd fuck around with it and find out, but, you know, I gotta have a lot of patience to go through this. The later Adventure Island games are really good. You know, the Super Adventure Islands on Super Nintendo, pretty great. Yeah, Adventure Island. Now, this is a fun one. Yep, it's Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. So I got this at a school, sort of, flea market sale thing, where you bring in all your old unwanted stuff and you sell it to the kids for money, so... Mostly I remember that people were selling old Archie comics, but there were some NES games there, like Ninja Turtles and Top Gun. I didn't buy Top Gun. One wonders if I would be able to land the plane in Top Gun, but I didn't buy Top Gun. I think I borrowed Top Gun, I can't remember, but... Ninja Turtles. While we're on the subject of hard games, it's a hard game. That being said, the dam level, not that bad. I could beat it when I was 10. It was the level after that fucked with me. But, yeah. And this game gets really fucking hard in the later half. But I never got that far as a child. I couldn't get past stage 3, but still. Even so, I could beat the dam as a child. This game's not bad. This game's not bad. People prefer the beat-em-ups, but this game is not that bad. Now, these next two, so we had a local video store as a child. You know, like you do. And they had NES games. I'd rent the NES games a lot, and, you know. In later years, when NES games became so obsolete, they were selling off their NES games. So I bought a couple. So here are a couple I bought from them. We start with Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade by Taito. There are actually 2 Last Crusade games. There's one by Taito, one by Ubisoft. Ubisoft one is kind of a bad platformer, but Last Crusade by Taito is a varied genre game. Almost reminds me of like a British microcomputer game in a way. It's just a bunch of little mini games. So you've got action set piece on the boat to get the cross at the beginning. You've got a sliding puzzle to get the picture of the Holy Grail. A maze level in the German castle. Sort of turbo tunnel-y ride your motorbike and escape Germany level. There's a fight on the tank. And then you solve a bunch of puzzles and find the real Holy Grail at the end. It's a good game. It's a pretty good game. I like it. Varied, short, but sweet. You know, it's good. It's good. Another game I bought from them was Krusty's Funhouse, a really fun action puzzle sort of game. So you're Krusty the Clown, and there's rats in your funhouse, and you got to lure the rats to these extermination machines run by Bart and Homer Simpson. And you've got have a lot of lateral thinking, a lot of timing, placing blocks in the right place, making sure the rats they just walk mindlessly, kind of like lemmings, just making sure that they walk from point A to point B and get into the exterminator. It's an interesting puzzle game. Never beat it, but interesting game. So we're going to have a doubleheader here now. These 2 games are linked hand in hand, if I can get them in my hands here. It's Zelda and Adventure of Link. So, Stone Cold Classics that I got for $6 a piece. Now, try to find these fucking games for $6 a piece now. Goddamn retro bubble exploded. But Zelda 1, iconic, good. Rented it a bunch as a child. Didn't really get far, but there was a mystique behind it. But Zelda 2. Okay, so we're talking year 2000 now. I'm like a teenager. Internet's a thing. I'm getting into retro gaming again. Just like looking up this stuff. And out of nowhere, I rent Zelda 2 from the video store one day. I'm like, oh, I like my Nintendo. Let's try this. I fall in fucking love with this game. Something about it appeals to me. This game is incredible. I love it. And throughout the past 20 years, I had to endure the old. It's the same as Castlevania 2. Oh, bah, Black Sheep. It's nothing like your first game. Thank God Link to the Past codified the formula. And I'm like, no, Link to the Past is good, but this is good too. I mean, the difficulty is a bit imbalanced in places. Sure, Death Mountain's way too hard for the point of the game, but I mean, you can hate it for it being too hard, I guess. But, like, it's different, but it's good. I adore it. It's one of my favorite games of all time. So, and I own both of them. The battery in Zelda 1 here, not the greatest, but, you know, I've got the virtual consoles and whatnot, so. So now here's some games I bought at another sort of flea market sale. $1 a piece, I believe I paid for these games. This must have been 2001, 2000, same sort of time frame. So we start with Wolverine by LJN. Now, Wolverine by LJN is not the best video game in the world, it has to be said. But, you know, it's functional. I've beaten it. It's functional. It's not as bad as other LJN-published video games out there, but, you know, this is, you know, it's Wolverine. He's cool. He punches, he got the claws, you know. It's a Wolverine video game. So, it's fine. A far better video game, however, Ninja Turtles 2, the arcade game. So, for people who didn't like Ninja Turtles 1, this game, they love it. And it's a good video game. It's a good arcade action video game. I don't like the ninja level near the end, but it's a fine video game. Really, my jam was Manhattan Project, but unfortunately I don't own Manhattan Project. Rented it a bunch, borrowed it a bunch, but never actually got a copy for myself. And now that fucking thing's over $50, so I'm sad, but I've got this game. Now the last two games I'm going to show off are very interesting. 2002. I'm 17. Now what do you think a 17-year-old wants for the holidays in video game form? PlayStation 2? Xbox, perhaps? No, motherfuckers! I went and asked my brother and sister-in-law, hey, get me some old Nintendo games off of eBay, and they did, starting with Metroid. Iconic. Classic. I love Metroid. I love the original Metroid. I love the sense of atmosphere, the sense of solidarity it gives, its minimalism, it's spooky music. I love just about everything about this. I mean, it hasn't aged well, you know, 30 health on starting. It's not the rest in the world. But also, I held a grudge against Metroid Zero Mission for years because it went, hey, here's this really unique, spooky, minimalist video game. You know what we should do with it? We should turn it into Super Metroid! Which, Super Metroid, it's the same thing as it kind of broke Metroid in a way, because you gotta hammer all the square pegs into Super Metroid's round hole. Like, look at another Metroid 2 remake, or even Metroid Samus Returns in a way. You know, take the unique flower and smash it in! Make it like the other one! Yeah, so, but I got what I wanted out of this game. And there's the ROM hack Metroid Rogue Dawn, which is a new Metroid game like this, not like Super Metroid for the other people. So I got serviced, I got my turn, so Metroid, great video game. And last but not least, we have Star Tropics. Now, Star Tropics is a game I borrowed from a friend in the 90s. I got stuck in it, but not at the part you think, not at the letter part, in the Ghost Village part, because you gotta walk through a wall and find a hidden passage or some shit, and I couldn't do it, but I really adored Star Tropics when I borrowed it. it stuck in my mind for years after, so now I have a copy, and it's good. And that will do for the NES collection. So, thanks to Megadan, who hopefully is a fine person. I haven't actually looked at their stuff. Maybe I'll check it out. Special thanks to MrMatthews for doing the video response that inspired me. MrMatthews, you should go check him out. Like, he's got a series called NES Hard, where he looks at the hardest NES games ever and analyzes them and tries to beat them and see if they're really as hard as the internet makes them say. And it is catharsis for a hard game beater. His Silver Surfer episode is incredible. I go back to that every so often just to get that sheer catharsis of him explaining opinions I've held for years and just laying it out in a sort of objective form, and I love it. So that'll do for now. Thanks for checking out all of this for the 16 minutes it's taken to go through these NES games, and have a good one. If you want to show off your NES games, feel free to. So bye for now, everybody. See ya.